I've never gone live anywhere else other than my own house. Actually, no, I have. I went live when I was in York. But we are now live. I'm a bit sunburnt, if you can see. My nose is a bit red. But we're going to be talking about the new issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, because that came out, and there's a few things I want to talk about there. There's a few things that I think need discussing, and we're also going to be previewing Across the Spider-Verse, which comes out in... When does it come out, Bub?
What was that?
When does Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse come out?
Dunno.
She doesn't know.
It's
She's
on
going.
Friday.
It's on Friday.
It's on, oh, is it Friday?
Hi, 24 Breaks, how are we doing? What's up?
2nd of June?
2nd of June, that's the one.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. I did know that. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to go in here. Hi, Cindy Flick, how are we doing? I'm actually in, should I say where I am? But look at the view there. I'm currently not at home, as you can see. But that's why we're not doing a tier list today. But this is where I am. Look how beautiful that is. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm currently away, but we're going to be talking about the new Spider-Man comic, because we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Are you Zeb Wells today? Am I Zeb Wells? I hope not. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Zeb Wells. You taking a nice vacation? Thank you. Yeah, it is a nice vacation. It's good. I'm in Wales at the moment. I'm in Wales, which isn't far from home. The county that I live in England actually borders North Wales, so there's that. So what? Why does that matter? No one's gonna know where that is. She's straight over there stressing. Anyway, let's talk about the comics. So, any questions you guys have about Spider-Man, put them in the chat. We'll talk. We'll get talking. I think just generally, I want to start with the new issue. So, issue 25, The Amazing Spider-Man. Cindy Felix says, I hadn't read the new comics, but I've heard everything Paul is and a character I despise. Yeah. So we'll get into that. Because I think a lot of you, despite not reading the comics, know about Paul. And I think we have to talk about him. Hi, Michael. How are we doing? So essentially the new issue. I think. So basically, if you don't want spoilers for the new issues, click off now. But we are going to talk about them, and I'm sure you guys, if you are interested, will not have clicked on this stream if you didn't want spoilers anyway. But anyway, essentially what happens is if you guys have watched my videos, you will know that the Spider-Man comics are not good at all. But the issue is that in these no comics, MJ is with a guy called Paul, right? In this new comic, right, we get to see MJ's version of events, where essentially she's in an alternate dimension, and we get to see how she fell in love with this other guy, who is not Peter Parker, right? The issue is that Paul, as a character, we don't actually get to see why he falls in love with MJ. We don't get to see any of his personality traits. We don't get to see who he is as a person. We don't get to see like any of his hobbies. He's just literally the most one-dimensional character ever, and this is the problem I have, because if the comics somehow made it so that it was understandable as to why MJ would fall in love with someone like Paul, if they placed us in MJ's shoes, then it would be better. And I just think I just have to get this off my chest, because there is a video going out at some point, but I just have to get this off my chest because this is absolutely insane how bad. And what amazes me is that these are professional writers. You've got to make characters that are likable. You've got to make characters that people are going to care about. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Ramdas Punch says, which comics would you want for the next set of movies? That's a very good question, actually. Okay, first of all, guys, what comics do you want for the next set of movies? So let's just say MCU 4, 5, and 6. Just for example, because we know those are the movies that are actually coming out that are featuring Spider-Man. What do you want those movies to be based off of in terms of comics? What storylines can be storylines, can be universes, can be timelines, can be just separate issues? What do you want those movies to be based off of? Personally, for me, I would like the next Tom Holland movie to take a lot from Kraven's Last Hunt. I think there's a lot you could take from there. I think also I'd like to see more personal stuff. So obviously I'm going to say the kid who collected Spider-Man, or just general stories like that, because I think the MCU Spider-Man is in need of just a personal story. The Ultimate Spider-Man comics is good. Yeah, the Ultimate Spider-Man comics are my favorite Spider-Man comics. Paul is Mephisto. I'm calling it now. Yes, so this is the thing with Paul, right? So Paul, I think, will end up being Mephisto because he's such a bad character to the point where it's like, surely there has to be something going on here. Like, the writers couldn't have just forgotten to have developed Paul. Like, surely there has to be something. He has nothing. This is the issue. He has nothing. We don't get to see who this guy is. We don't know who Paul is. This is the issue. Lewis, have you ever watched the YouTube channel Amazing PSM / Probably Spider-Man? Yes, I have. I do like his content. I think it's very laid back. Like, it's that type of content where if you kind of just want to chill out, you're working on something, like I'm working on an edit or a thumbnail or something, I'll just whack his videos on in the background. He's a good listen. He's got some good views as well. Wait, so MJ is now Peter's sister. I'm a bit behind, but shocked they made Peter and MJ. No, so canonically they are not siblings, okay? Because that would be really weird. In fact, actually, speaking of incest, they made... they made Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver a couple in the comics once. If you guys, that fun fact, by the way. Anyway, MJ and Peter aren't siblings, but essentially in one of the recent comics, Peter referred to MJ as like a sister. And this was really problematic. And yes, he's dating Felicia Hardy at the time, but this is heavily problematic because... Not just because, obviously, you can have a sister-type relationship with someone and not, be their sister, right? Because that's a thing. That you can do that. That's totally plausible. But he's saying this about the person that... He's saying this about his soulmate. He's saying this about basically the love of his life, right? The person that he wants to be with, who we've been shown countless times, he will always go back to, and they always end up together no matter what. He's just referred to her as like a sister, which is heavily problematic. Like, I just think it's, yeah. Cineflix says, why does everything get involved with Mephisto? Like, bro, yeah, well, this is the thing. Mephisto is such a cop-out in terms of, like, something, like, writing-wise. Like, I feel like writers always go back to Mephisto because he's such a cop-out. You can use Mephisto to pretty much do anything. If you're backed into a corner and you need the story to go somewhere, Mephisto is the way to go. But it's lazy writing. It's like the multiverse. Devil's Reign in Goblin Nation for the next MCU Spider-Man trilogy. That's a very, very, very good idea, Ravenous Puncher. I will give you that. It is a very good idea. Although I do not want to see Goblin, but Goblin Nation would be cool. They aren't related. Yeah, so we covered that. MJ with a guy named Paul, like how I made my original characters be with another. So yeah, I mean, he's basically, it sounds... Paul, the character, sounds like a self-insert. That's what he sounds like. These new comics are basically fan fictions. I cannot believe it. Like I said, I've got a video going out in a few days, and I said in it, I think it is really, really... It saddens me, disheartens me, knowing that me, a person who's never written anything professionally before in my entire career, yet, because I might do at some point, who knows, hopefully, fingers crossed, right? But someone who's never professionally written anything, so I'm an amateur writer, right? I can write something better than what we've got in the Spider-Man comics right now. I genuinely could. I actually genuinely could. And I'm pretty sure all of you in the chat could as well. Like, genuinely, anyone could. And it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. Just, yeah. I can't believe it. Okay. I need to catch up on some of these comments here. So I want Spider-Man 4 to be based off Zeb Wells' Spider-Man issue 25. God, if that's the case, then I mean MJ and Peter are already split up, right? So imagine if Paul is in MCU Spider-Man 4, I'd cry. Where's Ultimate Lego Spider-Man episode 4? Oh my God, Ultimate Lego Spider-Man episode 4. I haven't done that series in a very long time, very, very long time. Ultimate Lego Spider-Man. Wow, that was a long time ago. You know what would be a good video essay? How Mephisto is Marvel's worst or greatest consequence. Because he literally... Oh, I've completely gone off the chat there. Wait, hold on. Give me 1 second. Marvel's worst and greatest consequence because he literally has ruined a lot of stuff in the comics. Yeah, he has. I think Mephisto could be a really cool character because he's the devil. I think that's a really cool concept. I love the concept of Mephisto. I really do. I think he could be something greater. I just think his purpose in the Marvel Universe is completely unjustified because it's just lazy. The Ultimate Universe was weird that Wolverine watched the whole Devil's Tango. Andrew Garfield should come back. I agree. I think he should come back. I think it'd be cool. So speaking of Marvel Comics, what are they doing with other heroes besides Spider-Man in the comics? In the moment, I don't really know. I haven't really caught up on any of the heroes. I only mainly read Spider-Man comics, but I'm looking to start reading the Daredevil comics. I think that'd be cool. Oh, Ray is in the chat. Hello, Ray. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is the only way to save the Sonyverse. I think that'd be cool. I'm calling it, says Cineflick. He says, when Mephisto is introduced into the MCU, possibly through Ironheart things will go all wrong. So yeah, we've had rumors that Ironheart will introduce Mephisto, which could be pretty cool. But once Mephisto is introduced, that's bad news for Spider-Man because we know what happens there. Ravenous Punch says Sony aren't stopping with the SSU, so we will see a reboot of nearly all Spider-Man villains in the MCU. I don't want a Z-list villain being the next MCU villain in the trilogy. I agree. I agree to an extent. Hello. Hello. So I agree to an extent, right? Because at the end of the day, Sony have got a universe of Spider-Man characters, right, to make. The issue is wait, hold on. Wait, I haven't got past this comment. Just give me one sec. So you scroll there like that. How cool that is. I'm just catching up at the moment. But the thing is I'm like answering every question in detail, so we've got loads to go through there. But yeah, so basically yeah, so we've got a whole universe of Spider-Man villains, right? Which is crazy because Sony is making this universe where there are a bunch of Spider-Man villains. But they're all like the big ones. Like we've got some like El Muerto, and we've got Hypno Hustler, and there's Z-list villains, right? But then you've also got the likes of Kraven that's getting a movie. Rhino is going to be in the Kraven movie. Is that my girlfriend? Yes, it is. That is.
Hello.
So yeah, but yeah, I hope they save some because who else have we got in the MCU that they could use? I don't think they're going to use Goblin again. We've basically outsourced all the main Spider-Man villains. Scorpion is good to use. I think you could use Scorpion. Kingpin is a good suggestion. What else could you say, guys? What other villains do you think we could use in Spider-Man? For MCU Spider-Man 4 to 6, I want Parker Industries and Peter and Daredevil to team up at most. I think Parker Industries would be cool. I think Parker Industries gets too much hate because I think the way that it was handled in Superior Spider-Man was completely fine. I think how it was handled in the next set of comics was okay because they got rid of it, right? And you can't have Peter Parker have Parker Industries because then he's just basically Iron Man. However, I do think that Parker Industries gets a bad rep because when people say Parker Industries, people go, oh, no, that's not Peter Parker at all. I think personally that you can use Parker Industries to represent a older Peter Parker. I think personally Parker Industries could be a good way to develop the character forward. Like, are you telling me at some point in his life he'll never go on to be a successful scientist? Like, that's ridiculous. Peter Parker's got to figure his life out at some point. He can't constantly be in the status quo, which is a big issue that a lot of people have with the comics. So I think Parker Industries, or a lesser extent of Parker Industries, like maybe he's at a point where he isn't really, really rich, but he's still a scientist, is good. And I think that'd be a good thing. Let's have a look here. In the MCU, I would make Norman as Iron Patriot. He uses the Goblin formula to create a Goblin-like army. We could have Norman without Goblin. That could be cool. That could be a good way you could use Norman in the MCU. Isn't the trailer for Insomniac Spider-Man coming out this month? Yeah, so it's rumored to be coming out on May 25th, which is going to be the PlayStation Showcase. What date is it today? Friday the 12th. So in just over 2 weeks, just 2 weeks actually, we will be getting hopefully the Marvel's Spider-Man 2 trailer, which could be really, really good. And I'm really excited for that. Did I just shower? I did. That's why my hair's flat. So Daredevil is a great series at the moment, says Alex. Yeah, I need to catch up. I need to catch up with the Daredevil series. Yeah, Cineflix says, here come the lovebirds. El Muerto is going to be the movie of all time. Morbius in Morbius, and that is going to be cinema. Well, I mean, hopefully El Muerto is actually good. The thing is with El Muerto is I think I'm optimistic for the movie because he's a character that you can do so much with in terms of you're not tied to like a specific. What's the word? You're not tied to a specific story. So obviously if you do Spider-Man, you have to do Great Responsibility. You have to do Uncle Ben. You have to do Aunt May. These characters have to exist for that character to be who that character is, right? But with El Muerto, he's one of those characters that hasn't had a lot of comics. There's a lot of malleability with El Muerto, if that makes any sense. It means you can kind of create stories out of nothing, which gives the writers more creative freedom. And I think the same thing goes for just another example that you guys might relate more to. That goes to characters like, for example, Shocker, right? The Spider-Man villain Shocker, he is also one of those characters that, yeah, he's appeared a lot. He's very popular, but how many times has he been done differently? Loads. You can do anything with Shocker. The only thing that ties Shocker down to being Shocker is that he wears a yellow suit, he has gloves that do the repulsion things, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, he's been Montana. He's been Herman Schultz. You know, you can do loads of things with Shocker. I think. Where are we? Cineflick. Personally, when it comes to the Insomniac Spider-Man games besides Superior Spider-Man, what do you think the third game could do? So you guys, yeah, if you saw my video, you'd know that I want Superior Spider-Man for the third game. I think it'd be a great story. But personally, I think it will be Goblin. I know the rumors have stated that Goblin will be the main villain of the second game, and that's kind of the secret reveal, which I also made a video about at some point. But yeah, so the rumor is that, you know how in the first game Doc Ock was the secret villain? There's rumors that in this game Goblin is the final boss of this game. I don't believe that to be true. I think Goblin will be the third game. If Goblin is the villain of the second game and we're not talking Superior Spider-Man for the third, then I'm going to say... I don't know where you go after that, though. Where do you go? Do you kill Peter off? Is the next game just a Miles solo game? Who knows? I hear there's going to be a Sinister Six movie with Morbius, Vulture, Kraven, Venom, so probably the last two might be Doc Ock and Green Goblin. Who knows? Do you think ever Peter and Shuri will ever meet? Probably, at some point in the MCU, probably in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. The only thing I want for the next MCU trilogy is some strong villains. I don't want weak-ass villains for the MCU Spider-Man 4. So for me, Scorpion, Rhino, Jackal, Mr. Negative, Anti-Venom, and so on. Mr. Negative would fit really well into the MCU. And I think because he's now been popularized by the game, he's a fairly recent villain as well. He was created... when was Mr. Negative was created by Dan Slott, I believe, in the run of Amazing Spider-Man after One More Day, but before Superior Spider-Man, so in that kind of like grey period where not many people really liked the Spider-Man comics. But I looked back on them and I made a video about it. I actually really liked them. He was introduced there, so he's fairly recent, fairly modern villain, and I think he would do really well. Feast obviously is already in the MCU, so there's already that there that you can do, because Feast was a part of No Way Home, which was the where Aunt May worked at. The only thing I want from the next... Oh, we read that one. Drew Goddard in Tasm Sinister Six movie can be adapted in the MCU. Replace Gentleman with Fisk, and we are good to go. Shocker has to be chased through the ends of the earth. Yes, he does. Honestly, I never was a fan of the concept of Superior Spider-Man. I heard the story is great, but I hated the concept. Well, that's the thing with Superior Spider-Man. On paper, it really shouldn't work. Let's be honest here. For those of you... Okay, hands up. Be honest. Have you read Superior Spider-Man? Let's see. Actually, you know what? Thumbs down if you haven't read it. Thumbs up if you had read it. That's what I want to see. Who has read Superior Spider-Man? Who hasn't? Let's see who has and let's see who hasn't. And this is a thought experiment we're going to do. Because I think the concept of Superior Spider-Man isn't very good. On paper, I don't think it really works. But the way they executed it was brilliant. Ravenous Puncher says, Lewis, MCU of late is getting unhinged. They are willing to kill characters left, right, and centre like Rocket's friends. If Watts had his way, both MJ and Aunt May would have died by the end of the Goblin. I don't think so. I would rather explore obscure villains / ideas in the MCU. Other than Scorpion, I don't need to see another popular villain. Now, you see, Ray, that idea is very good. I like that idea. I would personally like to explore more obscure villains. But I don't want to stray too far away from the popular ones. Only because I think for familiarity reasons, I think certain villains that haven't been explored yet, like Mr. Negative, like Scorpion, I think they work really well in the MCU trilogy. And I think avoiding them on purpose, just because they're popular, I think is a mistake, because there are some really good stories to tell there. We've got Scorpion in the MCU already, ready to go. Mr. Negative would work really well in the MCU at this point in time. Kingpin is there. I don't think there's any reason if, like, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, if the story's there and it's ready to go, what's the point? What's the point of just avoiding them just because they're popular? I mean, I like obscure villains. I really do. I like obscure villains. I mean, some of the most obscure villains that have been used in popular culture have always turned out to be great too, so I'm not against that, but that's all I'm saying. Like, for example, Mr. Negative is actually a really good example as well, because before the Insomniac game, Mr. Negative was one of those obscure villains, because no one really knew who he was. He was quite modern, but he was probably 15 years old by that point, maybe something like that. He's quite old. He'd been around for a while. So yeah, quite a lot of thumbs down. So for those of you who put thumbs down, let me know. Do you like the idea of, on paper, forget the comic, do you like the idea of Superior Spider-Man? Just forget what everyone else says about the comic and how good it is. Do you like the idea of it? I might be proved wrong here, but this is maybe what I think it is, a mass thought experiment. It seems to be one of those terrible ideas executed well. As long as the next Spider-Man movie doesn't retcon the ending of No Way Home, then Spider-Man 4 should have Peter with a new love interest. I do agree. I think I want MJ to be with Peter in the end, but I think they should introduce that idea slowly and not do it straight away. Amazing Spider-Man 25 is so bad and a complete train wreck. I agree. We just talked about that, actually. It's honestly. Mr. Negative should be OP, as I don't want him watered down. He should be a mixture of Electro and Shang-Chi. Who would play Kraven in the MCU? Jason Momoa? Jason Momoa would be cool. No, I found Superior Spider-Man to be a mess. Really? Wow. Obscure villains would just give us a more fresh look at stuff once they get past Mr. Negative and Scorpion. They'd have to repeat the same villains over and over. It'd be cool if they did something different. Yeah, I agree. Hi, random person, how are we doing? Yeah, no, Ray, you're completely right there. Mr. Negative and Scorpion, villains I think definitely will be used. I mean, let's be honest. Those villains are bound to be in the MCU at some point. And I think the stories are there. But then after that, I do agree. What is the point? What is the point of rehashing villains as well? Which is why I think we should move on. And I say this about Goblin all the time as well. So for the villains that are popular that haven't been explored, we should do them. We should do them first. They should be the most important. They should be priority, in my opinion, right? So Scorpion, Mr. Negative, the stories are there. When it comes to the obscure villains, I think they could come second, but I think they're more interesting to explore than the likes of Goblin and Doc Ock because we've already seen them a million times. But that's just my opinion. I know Ravenous Puncher and a few others of you guys would like to see Goblin. And I think that's valid because Goblin is, he's Spider-Man's arch nemesis. The idea of Superior Spider-Man, I think, is terrible, honestly. Doc Ock dying, I like him, but switching minds with Peter is a really bad idea. I thought Superior Spider-Man was a great series, might just be in a minority. Hello, Shri. What's up, Face Master? How we doing? Hello, 24 Bricks. Welcome back. Prior to No Way Home, we got the OG version and had a Wakandan Kraven and a Black Panther Spider-Man team-up. Kraven would have released Wakandan Army in New York and Black Panther would have helped Spider-Man. I don't know if you guys remember, but do you remember the rumours that Kraven was meant to come from Wakanda in the MCU? Personally, I think if he was the villain of MCU Spider-Man 3, which was No Way Home, but before the whole multiverse thing, before we knew what No Way Home was, there was rumors that Kraven was going to be in the film, and I think that was the pitch. I think that's what Tom Holland confirmed was the pitch, and John Watts, if it wasn't the multiverse, I imagine he probably would have came from Wakanda. I imagine he probably would have. I'm hoping for 5 tracks on Spider-Verse. Oh, mate, the soundtrack is gonna bang. That's gonna be a 24/7 loop. That will. There's one villain that needs the spotlight more than anyone. That's Tombstone. Tombstone does need the spotlight. Personally, in my opinion, my main criticism with Superior Spider-Man is that everyone is an idiot and doesn't figure out it's Doc Ock in Peter Parker body, especially Mary Jane not figuring out. Yeah, I guess that could be a criticism of it. I mean, maybe I'm biased, right? I recently read it. I think it was good. But yeah, maybe. I don't know, because the thing is, you wouldn't automatically assume that, would you? I feel like it's a nitpick, but it's a valid nitpick, because I feel like you can kind of see where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's like, how would people know? Are people going to assume that? Do the thumbnail pose. There you go, for all of you. I wouldn't mind Goblin again since that's his arch nemesis, but I don't need another Sandman, Electro, Lizard, or Doc Ock. Yeah, I agree. What are you talking about right now? Spider-Man comics? Well, a mix of both now, because we started off with the Spider-Man comics. Now we're kind of just talking about everything. Also, Lewis, you're about to lose me for a few weeks. What? Tears of the Kingdom time. Oh yeah, so that game came out, so I'm not gonna be able to speak to you. Well, don't worry. because I'm gonna be gone until the 26th, I believe. I'm not here, but like I've got a load of essays to do, so I'm very busy at the moment. I'm basically the only thing I'm doing other than doing essays and going to work is literally making videos for you guys. My schedule is full, apart from being here, obviously, because this was planned obviously ages in advance. Would you want Gwen Stacy to come to the MCU? No. Gwen Stacy has been overused. I'll explain my thing with Gwen Stacy, and you guys in the chat tell me what you think as well. I want you guys to post, would you like Gwen Stacy? I could try and do a poll, but I don't think I can do it on mobile. Okay, right. Since I can't do a poll, just post in the chat, do you want Gwen Stacy in the MCU? Yes or no? I'm going to explain my thing with Gwen Stacy, and I think this is a big topic we need to talk about and cover. Gwen Stacy, I think, has been overused. And I know I say this about every character that's been used like more than once, right? But the thing is with Gwen Stacy is, me and Ray were talking about this. Me and Ray were talking about this for quite a while. We agree that Gwen Stacy always has an end game. And that end game is to essentially die, right? There is no other story for Gwen Stacy. If you keep Gwen Stacy alive, what is for her next? You could make up something, but if you make something up, why is it not just Mary Jane, right? Because at the end of the day, Mary Jane is the girl that Peter always ends up with. That is facts. That's what happens, right? Spider-Gwen exists? Yes, Spider-Gwen does exist. But, okay, you've called out a good point, and I'll get to that, right? I'm getting to that. Don't worry, I'm getting there. Wait, just wait. I'm getting there. If Gwen Stacy exists as Peter Parker's love interest, the only story for her is for her to die, and that is to elevate Peter's character. If you don't kill her, then her character becomes obsolete and she might as well be Mary Jane. It doesn't elevate Peter's character, and she doesn't fulfill the purpose that her character is built to exist for. Now, I'm all for, usually, most of the time, 100%, well, 99% of the time, I'm for doing different things with characters and exploring different avenues and making them grow up and do different things, right? I'm 100% for that. But Gwen Stacy has an expiry date. Whenever she's introduced, she has an expiry date because of the way that her character is built. Now, if you don't want her character to have an expiry date and you want to keep her around for longer, that's where you introduce Spider-Gwen. Now, Spider-Gwen's different because Spider-Gwen is a version of Gwen Stacy that doesn't have to die in order for her character to carry on doing stuff and for her character to mean anything. And that's basically, I think, one of the main reasons as to why she exists, because it's a version of Gwen Stacy that whenever she's introduced, she's basically not going to die, right? But you introduce her into the Tarzan movies, she died. She introduced her in the Ultimate Comics, even a new version where you could have done something completely different, she died. You introduced her in the comics, she died. If she's introduced in the MCU as Peter's love interest, not as Spider-Gwen, not as anything else, if she's introduced as Peter's love interest, she will die. And people will see it coming from a mile away. That's why I think there is no point. There's no point. So no, I do not want Gwen in the MCU. It also proves Marvel Comics is wrong, and letting Peter Parker be an actual adult actually works, in my opinion. To be honest, I don't know about Gwen. Did make her into Spider? Yes, if she's in the MCU, I want Spider-Gwen, at least. I don't want Spider-Gwen, but if she is in the MCU, I want Spider-Gwen. Gwen could be cool, but rather have Black Cat or someone else. Yeah, exactly. And Black Cat never been on screen before. There are totally so many more different interesting things you can do with Black Cat. Black Cat. I honestly don't hate Gwen Stacy, but honestly, the only time I like her was in Spectacular Spider-Man animated series. The Spectacular Spider-Man animated series did the best thing with Gwen Stacy that I think anyone's ever done. Because, let's be honest. Excuse me. Peter was going to end up with Mary Jane, right? So, because it's a kid's show, you could argue that they weren't going to kill Gwen. But, considering the Goblin rivalry that was built up in 2 seasons of Spectacular, you're telling me that Gwen wasn't going to die. She probably was. She was probably going to die or get seriously hurt at some point. Or the Goblin and Spider-Man rivalry would have been a consequence of them not being together. One of them. Chapter 26 is supposed to be even worse. Is that the comic? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that. I mean, I'm going to make a video about it. You guys will see that. But Ultimate Gwen Stacy died and then was cloned to... Yeah, and then she was cloned, right? But she still died, right? I prefer her not to come to the MCU because I think they might ruin her if they keep her alive. Plus, if Kevin Feige might do the same thing, some of the female characters. The thing is, it's nothing against Gwen as a character. I just think the purpose of her character, unless she's Spider-Gwen, is that she dies. And that's just... I think it's just what it is. I'm happy that at least across the Spider-Verse and Marvel Spider-Man 2 are giving us Peter X Mary Jane. Yeah, exactly, right. Also, one thing I want to talk about is, how do you guys feel about Peter getting older? Like, I think now that we've got Miles Morales, I think it's time to tell more stories with Peter being older. And I think I'm glad that it looks like Peter is going to be with Mary Jane and getting married to her in the games, and they are together and have a kid in Across the Spider-Verse. Because I think this severely improves the chances that in the comics they will do the same thing. Because the thing is, brand synergy. Now we're going to go on a little marketing lesson here. Brand synergy is the rave, right? When it comes to comic books, they were the most popular thing when it came to superheroes 50 years ago. Then it went to TV. Then it went to like shows. So you had X-Men '97. Then you had the Spider-Man cartoon and stuff like that. They became more mainstream. And then you had the likes of the movies, so the Sam Raimi movies, the X-Men movies, and then you got the MCU. You've noticed that since all of those things have happened, everything that was popular in those movies has been transitioned into the comics. And that's because of brand synergy, to get more people to buy the comics because they're a dying breed, right? Which works, because the Guardians got more sales. I'm assuming others got more sales as well. But this brand synergy was a thing, right? It's a thing. If Peter Parker now, in the movies and in the games, the things that are more mainstream and more popular, if he is becoming older and having a kid and getting married and growing up and being a scientist, being a teacher, doing this, doing that, brand synergy will essentially transition Peter in the comics into an adult. And this is kind of like a backwards thing, because usually it should be the TV shows, the movies, the games take stuff from the comics to adapt into those pieces of media. But it looks like we're gonna have to do this in reverse, because now that Miles has come along, there's no point of Peter being a teenager unless you're doing a Spider-Man show from complete scratch. But no one wants to see that because we've already seen that a million times. So Peter's older now, and because Peter's older, brand synergy will now transition Peter hopefully into an adult in the comics, and I think I'm happy that might be the case. So I wonder what you guys think about that. Insomniac, the Cross Spider-Verse is doing that. Finally, add the Insomniac games to do that. I'm happy with Peter Parker being older and being married to MJ. Having their daughter Mayday Parker, Spider-Girl in the movie makes me so happy. Yeah, me too. Lewis, at least Ned or MJ will die in the next trilogy. Whenever you have a Goblin or Venom running around, Peter's loved ones are not safe. Absolutely not. But I don't think they will be running about. Venom will be. I think Venom will probably be Matt Gargan, really. I think we're going to get a Venom Scorpion, which will be cool. I like Peter growing up, says 24 Bex and me too. LewisFilms, do you believe Marvel Comics would pull that trigger and give us Peter Parker and Mary Jane being married and having their daughter Mayday Parker, Spider-Girl in the comics finally in the movies? Well, the thing is, the nail in the coffin would be if Peter Parker grew up and had a kid with Mary Jane in the movies. Because, as we just discussed, brand synergy, obviously Across the Spider-Verse is doing it, but Peter Parker isn't the main character. Miles Morales is the main character, and Spider-Gwen. They're the main characters. Peter Parker isn't the main character. So his inclusion in that, it won't influence it that much. Insomniac Spider-Man, that's a big one. That's a big one. But it will still help him being older and seeing how fans reacted to that game. Because currently, Across the Spider-Verse and Insomniac Spider-Man 2 are the most popular Spider-Man things right now. And the fans love them. If the MCU does it, that will be the nail in the coffin. And then I think we'll start to see a transition. Hopefully, we will see it beforehand. But I think if MJ and Peter get married and have a kid in the MCU, which I hope they do one day. I hope after MCU Spider-Man 6, when Peter shows up in Avengers movies down the line, hopefully they give him a kid. Hopefully they do more stuff with him. Lewis, do you have a Twitter or Discord? I'd love to discuss Spider-Man stuff with you. Yeah, I have a Discord. The Discord link should be in the description down below to the server. And then from there, you can add me just through the server. And then, just message me. I mean, I reply to as many Discords as I can. Some of you guys Discord me sometimes. Some of you guys message me on Instagram. By the way, don't message me on Instagram because I never respond. I don't go on Instagram. If you want to message me on Discord. I'm in the server, because then more people can get talking. We can have a conversation. Lewis, a little off tangent, but do you think Rocket's friends were in Valhalla? I just want Lila, Teeth, and Floor to get at least a nice closure. I don't think they were in Valhalla. I think Valhalla is exclusive for Norse heroes, right? Like Heimdall and Jane Foster. I don't think they are. I thought Valhalla was exclusive for Norse characters, wasn't it? Or gods. It's good. Very good. I thought Valhalla was exclusive for Norse characters, or like Greek characters, or god characters, or whatever. I don't know enough about Valhalla. I'm not into that side of Marvel. Say how there's so how is the MCU Afterlife work? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about Valhalla. And that kind of side of the Marvel, the comics or the MCU. I'm not tuned into that part. I like Spider-Man. That's my thing. I hope Marvel Comics does pull that trigger finally, but unfortunately, do you believe the editors' egos would let Peter and MJ pull that trigger? Yes. Yeah, well, the thing is, the editors, right? As much as they don't like Peter and MJ being together, if they're making money, let's be honest. At the end of the day, Marvel Comics is a business. Marvel Comics makes money. That's all they care about, right? At the end of the day, if sales are up, if they have good quarters, that's all that matters, right? If Peter and MJ being together in the comics, because of brand synergy, because of what happens in the movies and what happens in the games and the shows, if that affects the comics and then the comics then go in that direction because they see it popular with the fans and then it makes more money, then yes, they will bring them together and they will stay together. Part of the reason why they don't do that is because they think it relates more with fans who are younger, that they are not married, which is a good business model to go off of, because your target audience for Spider-Man comics are kids to probably I'm past that age now, probably teenagers, right? That's probably why I want to see a more grown up Spider-Man, because now I'm trying to relate to the character that I love, and obviously because I'm not his age anymore, it's a little bit frustrating. And I think a lot of you guys who grew up with the Sam Raimi movies are getting to that point as well. Lewis, if I were to stretch the MCU forward, I would have the Russos for Cap and X-Men, Andy Muschietti for Spider-Man, Scott Derrickson for supernatural characters like Doctor Strange and Moon Knight. That could be cool. We need Hydra Man in Marvel Spider-Man 2. He is underutilized and extremely dangerous. The graphics on him would be nuts alongside Sunman and Mysterio. They'd have to retcon Hydra Man in Far From Home though, wouldn't they? Just say that it wasn't Hydra Man. Well, I know it was the bots, right? It was the bots. It wasn't actually Hydra Man, but I think he's like credited as Hydra Man. I think that's what they call him. I think is it in universe? I'm not sure. That's true, and you're right about that. And I hope the comics do actually finally get let go of their ego, and let him have Peter Parker and MJ have a daughter, Mayday Parker, alive and kicking in the comics. Yeah, well, this is the thing with the comics, is that you've got multiple branched universes where they have made the what ifs. The what if MJ and Peter stayed together? What if they were still married? What if they had their child? These are all different comic books that explore these different possibilities. And the thing is, they're the ones that are the most well received. And I think it's weird that they don't eventually go down that route in the main line, because everyone loves Renew Your Vows, right? Everyone loves that. Everyone loves that storyline. Everyone loves the stories where Peter and MJ together and they have different problems other than just them, just sent you a friend request in Discord. Okay, well, I'll accept that when I finish the stream. But yeah, I think it's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why they do it. I mean, most people love the Renew Your Vows comics, right? And most people don't like the comics where they're not together. We also have the MC2 universe with Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker, Spider-Girl series, which I love that, but it's not the mainstream Marvel comics for some stupid reason. Well, that's the thing. None of them are. In Secret Wars, I would love a scene where Thor helps Garfield and Rocket meet their deceased loved ones briefly for one last closure. Till that time, I reckon Thor will be very powerful. For Rocket, I think if Rocket were to die, that would work. For Garfield, I'm going to disagree. I think his closure was in No Way Home. The end of that character arc. So, obviously, the character arc that was going to be done for Garfield in TASM 3 was probably the redemption of Peter Parker, right? The redemption of that character, him coming back, him redeeming himself, him making up for the mistakes of Gwen dying. And I think I think him seeing Gwen one last time could be a cool moment, but I think also it undercuts his arc in No Way Home, because his arc is to be redeemed, and he redeemed himself, and now he's finally gotten over Gwen. He doesn't need to see Gwen to get that closure, because he already has the closure through saving MJ in No Way Home, which I think is what his arc was, and I think that's completely fine. I don't think he needs to see Gwen. I think it undercuts in No Way Home. The closure has already been done. I think Toby will become Captain Universe, Spider-Man Secret. That would be sick, by the way. How cool would that be? Like, imagine if we get, well, I say imagine, we probably will get all the Spider-Men in Secret Wars. Imagine though if Andrew and Toby became different versions of Spider-Man, like if Toby was Captain Universe, imagine Andrew Garfield was, I don't know, who could Andrew Garfield be? Those films, I don't get it either, because we have other heroes like Superman, Batman, and Wally West, Flash all have their kids. John Damian, Marvel, Spidey. Well, DC works differently, doesn't it? I think DC are more in tune with the stories that they want to tell. I don't want to see Guardians again. Guardians 3 finish those characters beautifully. Yeah, I don't either. I know Star-Lord's coming back, right? But I don't think any of the other characters will. I reckon the new Guardians team will, but I don't think any, apart from the new Guardians team and Star-Lord, I don't think anyone else is coming back. Personally, I don't want to see Star-Lord again. I wish Star-Lord was discontinued. I thought that was a brilliant ending to his character. But obviously, we've got to make that money. Yeah, I was thinking of a good segue there, but I can't think of one. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to end the stream here. I'm going to get going. It's been a good stream. Thank you very much. Once again, beautiful view. Sorry, I'm glad I streamed here, because look at that view. It's been great. Lewis, I think Sony missed a massive opportunity with James Gunn. Yeah, I think they did as well. Guardians 3 did give us a great send-off, and having an old team reuniting for Secret Wars wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, it was a good send-off. Be a cool moment, though. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. A video coming out tomorrow, so set your calendars. It is about Marvel Spider-Man 2, the game, the prelude comic that came out. We're going to be talking about that and the story details that have been provided us for the game. Everyone's coming back for Secret Wars. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and thanks for coming. And